Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at three different versions of the Club C85. We got the regular Club C85, we got the Club C85 Vintage, and then we have the Club C85 TV. We're going to be looking at some of the differences, and then I'm going to be giving my opinion on which ones I think you should buy. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I feel like there's a lot of confusion surrounding like which shoes, what's the difference between all three models. Especially these two, there seems to be a lot of confusion as to what the difference is between the Vintage and the TV is, because they look so similar. So before we actually take a look at the differences, I want to look at the boxes. So the box for the regular Club C's, it's just your typical Reebok classic box. It's got the navy with the red, just your typical box, nothing really special about it. And then for the Vintage, we have the Union Jack because it's part of the Vintage line. So we got the Union Jack on the box. And then for the TVs, it's the same box actually as the Vintages. For me, they came with a sleeve. I bought them on End Clothing because unfortunately they didn't have the TVs in my size on Reebok.com, and they sent it to me with the sleeve. I'm not sure if it comes with the sleeve directly from Reebok or if End Clothing actually put it on themselves. So, you know, do what you will with that info. Alright, now let's talk about the price differences because they actually all have different price ranges. The regular Club C's retail at $70. The Vintages retail at $75. And then the TVs retail at $90. So obviously there's going to be some differences between them. Alright, moving on to the color of these shoes, the differences anyways. For the regular Club C's, they come in quite a few different colorways. You have, obviously this one's the white with the navy, and then there's also a white with the green accents, and then there's an all black one. So there's a couple of different color options for the regular Club C's. Now for the Vintages, they pretty much only come in the chalk paper white with the green. For the men's, they do have some special editions of these shoes, but they're not readily available to everyone, and you can only really get them on third-party sites like StockX. The women are a bit luckier. They actually do get a blue version of the Vintage shoes, so you know, good for them. But other than that, it's pretty much only this one for the men's in terms of colorways. And then the TVs, it's the same colorway as the Vintages. To my knowledge, there's no special edition colorway for the TVs at all. It's pretty much just this colorway. Alright, now let's talk about the leather. So the leather for all three is actually different for all three of them. For the regular Club C's, the leather is a lot sturdier and it feels more synthetic-y, but it's not a bad leather. It's a pretty decent leather. I like the leather, but like I said, it's stiff and it feels a lot more plasticky. And then once we get to the Vintages, the leather is buttery smooth, but it creases very easily, but it is a nice leather. And then lastly, we do have the TVs. Now obviously it's genuine leather. You even get a little charm that tells you, the little charm says the original garment leather athletic shoes. So very nice. But you are paying a higher price, and the reason for the higher price is pretty much the leather. The leather does feel better than the leather on the Vintages. I wouldn't say it feels like amazingly better. It obviously still creases pretty easily, not as easily as the Vintages, but the TVs do crease obviously. And the leather is still very soft. Alright, so now we're going to get into some of the little minor differences between the shoes. I'm only really going to compare these two from now on, just because the TVs and the Vintages are almost identical, except for the leather really. And also because my Vintages they're pretty dirty, so, and they're used and these are brand new. So for the lining on the TVs, you get this terry cloth lining that feels really nice, and it feels almost like a towel-like material. And then for the regular Club C's, you know, it's not a towel-like material. It's a soft material. It's pretty much just a regular cloth. On the Vintages and the TVs, you actually get a Reebok stamp. On the regular Club C's, you don't get anything.
You sure you're not gonna get a lawnmower in the background?
Oh, I'm sorry if you guys can hear the lawnmower in the background. My neighbor decided to cut his grass right now, so, or no, it's not a lawnmower, it's a blower. He decided to blow his yard, so you guys can hear it, my bad. Also, The Reebok stamps on the back are a little bit different. It's kind of hard to tell the differences, but they are a little different. Same with the stamps on the side. The Reebok logos are a little bit different. So I mentioned the lining. So the lining in here, it's just a plain lining. I'll show you guys in the B-roll. But on the lining for the vintages and the TVs, you get, you get a little more detail. You get some nice Reebok all over print, which looks really cool. So the TVs and the vintages feel a lot lighter than the regular ones. There's a pretty significant difference between the weight. Also, I noticed that on the vintages and TVs, you get an exposed EVA, but on the regular ones, you don't get such a thing. It's just straight rubber. And also worth mentioning, profiles, the silhouettes are a little bit different. This one has a lower, the TVs and the vintages have a little bit lower profile than the regular ones. Insoles are a little bit different when you compare the TVs and the vintages and then just the regular Club C's. They have the same gray EVA insole, but on the vintages and the TVs, you get this extra little yellow padding on it. So it's a little bit more cushioning than your regular ones, but it's nothing too significant. However, what was significant and what I found out is I remember trying both of these on, and I remember them feeling a little bit different, and I was like, wow, like the EVA be hitting a little bit different on these. It feels a little stiffer. In reality is that these have no EVA midsole, like none at all. The rubber, I thought the rubber was just covering the EVA, when in reality there's just no rubber. Found out when I was comparing the foam, the insoles, I cut my shoe a little bit. I'll show you guys in the B-roll, but I basically cut this little lining on the bottom to kind of reveal what was under it, and under it it's just straight rubber. That's it. You don't get anything else. There's no EVA midsole or anything. So that pretty much explains why these feel heavier than these ones, and why just the regular Club C's, they have this rubber basically. So it all started to make sense, which is kind of disappointing. I really thought they were pretty much all the same, except for, slight differences between like the leather and stuff like that, which means objectively that these two are going to be more comfortable. So yeah, there's that. Which brings me into my next segue, comfort. So the regular Club C's, they're comfortable. Just because they don't have the EVA midsole doesn't mean they're going to be uncomfortable. No, they're still comfortable. They have a very thick insole. So it's comfortable, and the rubber on the bottom isn't like this super hard rock rubber. It's a little bit of a soft rubber. And the leather on the toe cap, because the leather's thicker on these ones, on your toe they're gonna feel a little bit stiffer. So these shoes overall are stiffer. They're just a little more sturdier. And then when you compare these two, the TVs and the vintages, it's just more comfortable. Just because you have that EVA midsole, you got the extra little padding on top of the insole. And then because the leather is so soft, it feels really nice on the toes. It doesn't feel like this hard shell when you compare it to just the regular Club C's. So objectively, these are more comfortable. These two versions anyways are going to be more comfortable than the regular Reebok Club C's. Alright, now onto which one I think you should buy. I would buy the regular Club C's if you're just looking for more color options, or if you just don't like this colorway, because like I said, for these ones, you're pretty much only limited to this colorway. So for these ones, there's a whole lot more color options, and they're a little bit cheaper than both of these. I mean, it's only $5 cheaper than this one. Like I said, more color options, and they're a little bit cheaper. Just because they don't have the EVA midsole doesn't mean they're going to be super uncomfortable or anything. Like I said, they're still going to be very, very comfortable, and just a great shoe overall. All right, now for the vintages, obviously if you really care about comfort, you should probably get one of these two. Or if you really also just like the colorway, this colorway isn't available in this version of the shoe. It's literally only limited to the vintage and the TVs. So if you like the colorway of the shoe, you like that old school look to it, definitely recommend this one. For the Club C 85 TV, this one I wouldn't really recommend it to a whole lot of people. I would only really recommend it if you're that type of person who just really likes to have that genuine leather shoe. You have to have that good leather, because the leather, like I said, it is better than the vintages, but I don't know if it's worth paying $90 or $15 extra when the leather feels a little bit better. Really, it's up to you. If you can if you don't mind paying 90 bucks for a little bit better leather for the same shoe, then go for it. But other than that, I think most people, if they had to choose between these two, they would mostly pick the vintages, just because they're gonna be cheaper. These are 75, these are 90. That's pretty much it for the video, for the differences and everything. I hope you guys found that very helpful. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on what other shoes I should compare and do the differences on. But other than that, guys, like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys in the next video. Peace. There goes the blower.